Welcome to the Data Uploader webinar, where we will show you how to convert your chemical data into Euclid format. My name is Ales Fontini. I'm a member of data team in European Chemical Agency. During the webinar, there is going to be live Q&A session. Join our Q&A session in slido.com. The event code is Duplo22. Please send your questions from now on until 1:00 p.m. finish time. We will answer only questions in the scope of the webinar, and in the case of other questions, please contact us on ecat.europe.eu/contact. What's the available material? In the package are video recording and the presentation. The questions and answers will be published soon after the event. The program of today's webinar: we will start with a short introduction, then we will continue with the presenting what is in the Data Uploader package and installation instructions of Data Uploader plugin. The third part is the data migration mapping exercise. Then we will continue with the Data Uploader demo. And we will finish with the further support in case you have any issues with the installation of Data Uploader plugin or relevant programs. At the end, we will wrap up with the conclusions. As already mentioned during the webinar, a Q&A session will be open. I'm presenting also presentations of my colleagues who were highly involved in the Data Uploader work: Urška Pirner, driving force of Data Uploader, and Panayotis Karamirtsanis, team leader of Data Team. What can we expect today? We will get to know how to migrate data from legacy databases into Euclid using Data Uploader. Building a migration workflow is of course very complex and requires practice. The webinar will show you an example that can be the starting point. More information can be found in the Data Uploader package in provided use cases, workflows, and instructions. In the case of any issues, we will show you how to reach us for help. What was the motivation for the Data Uploader? Transformation of data on chemicals into Euclid format was the starting point. Especially conversion of legacy toxicity data into harmonized templates which can be stored in Euclid database. Data Uploader can be used by owners of chemical databases who want to share the information on the international recognized Euclid format. The Data Uploader application was developed as a plugin of KNIME Analytics platform, containing several workflow nodes. Data Uploader is only one of the tools in the Euclid ecosystem of tools responsible for chemical data management. Data Uploader is in charge of migration of legacy data into Euclid. Text Analytics is a search engine for Euclid data and attachments. And Data Extractor is an advanced tool that extracts data from Euclid in accordance with the set of user-defined rules. These tools have synergies that we are trying to exploit. As an example, we are considering a second interface of Data Extractor in KNIME in order to have the same look and feel like the Data Uploader. In fact, certain functionality of the Data Uploader requires extracting data from Euclid that would be much more streamlined if the Data Extractor had a KNIME interface. A final note: it's beneficial if historically generated physico-chemical fate and ecotoxicity data are available in the same harmonized Euclid format. Having all data in the same format facilitates hazard assessment, increases the robustness of the assessment, and promotes alternative methods which allow bigger and more diverse training set for model development. To facilitate that, we developed Data Uploader. NIME gives you the tool to extract information from the legacy source into Data Uploader nodes, simplify pushing the data into Euclid. Migrating legacy data still requires mapping of fields from original source to Euclid document definitions. This can be only done by data owner in collaboration between data and Euclid expert. To download the Data Uploader package, you sign into the Euclid 6 website with your account, go to the Euclid product, select Data Uploader, and in the bottom of the page, accept terms and conditions and press download. Now you go to the folder where you downloaded the zip file. For me, it's this download folder. Double click on the file, and now you extract all these documents in your designated folder. For me, this will be Data Uploader on my desktop. And we just go to the desktop, Data Uploader folder, and here we have all the documents from the zip file. What we have here is Data Uploader installation instructions, site assembly zip, which is the plugin for the NIME, and two folders with the reference substance use case and substance endpoint study use case. First of all, you need to read very carefully the Data Uploader installation instructions. Here you have all the instructions how to install the plugin and all relevant elements into the NIME. We can follow these instructions now. Go to the NIME, go to the help file, install new software. Because I already have the version of Data Uploader plugin installed, I need to deinstall it first. Already installed Euclid 6 Uploader feature, uninstall, finish. We just wait to uninstall all the program. When the installation is complete, you empty this garbage collector and you close the NIME program. That NIME program is not running anymore. Go to NIME folder where the program is installed. Go to the configuration folder, org Eclipse OSGI and delete all the subfolders except the first one, manager. Now when you cleaned everything, now you're allowed to run NIME again and start the procedure with installing a plugin of Data Uploader. Now the NIME analytic platform is running and we will install the new software. Add archive, go to the desktop, Data Uploader, we select site assembly, zip, open, add. Select this uncategorized, next. This is the Euclid 6 uploader feature. Next. Accept the terms of the license and finish. This is the security warning, install anyway, and the process of the installing it started. Restart the NIME, and after the restart, the Data Uploader plugin will be installed. To allow the visualization in the document selection node, you will need to download the Java Zulu from the link provided in the installation instructions document. You go to azul.com, downloads, and you select this Zulu package. So we go here, down. We can shorten a bit our search. It's going to be Java 8. You select your operating system. For me, it's Windows. You can select the architecture, and the right package would be this one. And then you download the zip file. When the zip file is downloaded, go to the download folder, double click on the zip file, and you need to extract it to the folder where you have also other programs. So I will just extract it to the programs folder. And if we go now to our program folder, you can see that the folder is downloaded here with all the documents. If we go now to the instructions, so what we need to do is to add these two lines. What I will do is I will just copy everything from this text, and I will go to NIME. Go NIME ini file, and I just need to be sure that this is the right address. So I will go back, programs, Zulu, bin, and I will copy this address to here. And save and close. Now you should be able to do the visualization in document selection file. Data mapping, it's one of the most important steps for transferring your data into the Euclid format. In the data uploader package, we will find two use cases. One is reference substance use case and another one is substance endpoint study record use case. And we will focus now to this substance endpoint study record use case. In the package, there's a dataset in Excel format, and we will show you how to transform this data into the Euclid format. And this explanation, it's also in this PDF file, data uploader endpoint study record use case PDF. In the Excel file, you can see that we have several columns with the different information. So we have substance ID, legal entity name, substance name, EC number, CAS number, UPAC name, molecular formula, type of the substance, concentration and unit, study ID, study title, study duration, test guideline, test organism species, test organism strain, and route of administration. All these fields we need to find now in the Euclid instance. For example, I will just choose one of the substances, not too overwhelmed with all the information. I will choose this acetic acid. And if we go now to the Euclid instance, and we just choose one of the substances, which would be acetic acid, we can see that we have the substance name, legal entity, there's also reference substance to the substance, type of substance is monoconstituent, we can see the type of substance. And all this information we need to transfer in Euclid. We just need to know what fields. We go to legal entity, field, you can see that we have legal entity name, which is adequate to this LE name. If we would have more information about the legal entity, we would, in our table, we would need to address accordingly. Another one is that if we can go also to check the reference substance. In reference substance, we see that, reference substance name, which is substance name, UPAC name, we have here, EC number under inventory number, and CAS number we have also here. What we can also see that we have molecular formula, and that's everything under the reference substance tab. Under the test material, we see that material we can have, we have name of the testing substance connected to the reference substance concentration. Yes, we have here the unit concentration unit, and nothing else from here. Then we can check also the literature. At the literature we have, let's see, repeated dose toxicity 28 days, 3099. So it's study title and study number 67. Yep, mostly we have everything now. So we know that this is the working context of endpoint study of record. So we can go back to the substance and we can check what else we can have under the health effects. This 7. So what we have here, so oral guideline, so guideline here in the materials and methods, it's test guideline OECD under column N. What else? We have species. So test animal species rat, test organism species, yes. Then we have test animal strain, test organism strain, perfect, it's also here. And we just need to have also the route of administration. So route of administration oral, which is in the column Q. We mapped all the fields from the Excel table in the Euclid instance. What we need to do now is also find also all these fields, what we recognize in Euclid, also in the data uploader document selection node. So if we right click and configure, we go here to filters. So we have filters and working contexts, it's harmonized templates, OECD, substance, apply selection. And then we go to simple selection tab. At the simple selection tab, we repeat everything what we already did in Euclid. We just select the right fields. So from the legal entity, we select the legal entity name, what we have here, and everything else it's empty. From the reference substance, we have reference substance name, yes, we have that. We have Euclid name, and then inventory number and CAS number. And then we have also the molecular formula. You select all these fields and everything else it's empty. From the test material, it's the test material name. Then we have reference substance, which is linked to the reference substance. We have concentration range. This is concentration. Perfect. And everything else it's empty. And we have literature. We have title and study number. So we have study title and study number, and everything else it's empty. From simple entity selection, we go to the composite entity selection, and here we just go to the substance, substance name, required, yes, legal entity, it's linked to the legal entity, in simple entity, perfect. We have identification location of substance, reference substance, which is also linked, reference substance, perfect. Type of substance, it's this monoconstituent. We have this and nothing else here. And then we go to the health effects, 67, repeated dose, toxicity here, and from here we just select data source, reference, materials and methods, guideline. Then we have test material information, which is linked to the test material, the simple entity selection. Then we have test animals, which is species and strain, and administration exposure, route of administration. This is route of it, which is fit. Then we have still duration of the treatment, exposure, 28 days. Yep. And that's all. We can apply. And when we execute the node, we will get 20 Excel files. We can also visualize here the connection between the values. So if we right click and go to the view, visualize Euclid data schema, this is not the best now, but we will still work on it, as we need to zoom out here to get a bit better view, and how all the Excel files and fields in the Excel files are connected. You can have the graphical representation here in this table. This table can be exported as image, and then you can also work on it later. All these steps and processes, as I mentioned before, are also described here in this document, data uploader endpoint study record use case. After the installation of Data Uploader 9 plugin, after installation of the relevant programs, and after mapping of the data, we can start to use the Data Uploader. In the package, what it was provided, there are some use cases, and for this exercise, we will check the substance endpoint study record use case, and we will go and see this data uploader endpoint use case study, and together with this goes also this populate CSV endpoint use case study test. All the steps and procedures are also recorded in this data uploader endpoint study record use case PDF file. So we will just import first this data uploader endpoint use case study workflow. In this workflow, we see several nodes, and the first one is Euclid connection configuration, which establishes the active connection with Euclid instance. For me, this is the web instance. Usually you will have a desktop instance, like something like this. Maybe you should also check if this port is working for you. It might be that this port can be occupied with some other program, another application. So you need to consult this with your IT department and see if everything is working. For example, I will just click here OK. And this port it's not working for me, so I will need to reset this to my test environment. I will use my test environment here. When you have active connection with Euclid, then you just execute, and from this active Euclid connection there can be made a connection with this document selection. Second node that we need to configure is this document selection node. We can configure this node only when we map correctly our data compared to the Euclid data. So how we can do the configuration of this node? So on the top we have several tabs. I will start with these option tabs, where it's kind of data files directory. This is the place where all the Excel files will be stored. I created a folder with different subfolders, and Excel files would be stored in this place. I would just copy this address here and paste it in this space here, and all the created Excel files would be stored in this folder. Then another tab, here it's filter. This is according to the data mapping. We need to select the right working context. So we select this working context, and from the entity type here it can be selected substance or template, and then we apply the selection. When we do this, then we can go to simple entity selection. Here, for example, reference substance, then we just select all the boxes according to our data mapping, and next to the boxes we also see what kind of data will be provided. For example, here it's the plain text. We see also here it's the pickup list, but we don't have it here in this case. Also the plain text, it can be 255 characters or 2000 characters. So please check your data, that your plain text really fits into the amount of the characters. And let's see also for example here, composite entity selection. For example, we have this repeated toxicity oral, what we were checking. So we see that here we have the endpoint, which is pick list value. So pick list value, it needs to be kind of also checked then later, but I will show you how to find the pick list value in the Excel table. And we just select all the relevant boxes. When everything is done, then we can go here in this selected field tab. Here we see all the tables that they will be created. It's altogether 20 tables. We can click OK and execute the node. When the node is executed, this ball turns to green, and then we can also check what we can have here. Here we have this visualize Euclid data schema, and this is a great tool which shows how our tables are connected between each other. So here we have the name of the tables, titles of the rows, which are connected between themselves, and this is still not the best, but we are working on it to make it better. And because this is not optimal, you can export this as image, you save it somewhere, and then you check and compare the tables and the values between them. So here we have also the view, the Euclid data schema view, which is just a text view, how the tables are connected between each other with UUIDs and parent UUIDs, and what are relevant fields to link them together. And then we have also some outputs from here. One is this Euclid data schema JSON. Another output is Euclid data schema in the string value. And another output is selected fields. And these are all the created tables. Okay, we can go here now to see the tables, and yeah, here it's created 20 tables, and if you just open one table, you can see here that we have, here's the table name, and these are the titles of the columns of the table. So UUID, endpoint study record, repeated dose, toxicity, oral, administrative data, endpoint value. And here we see that we have this drop down menu, and here are different values. I'm trying to expand this to see more. Yes. And here are the values that we will need to translate our data in these values. Then we have also the endpoint study record, repeated dose, toxicity, oral, administrative data, endpoint other text, remarks, and parent UUID. So this is how our tables they look like. So we have table name and the names of the columns. And here we have 20 tables that we need to transform together with our data into the CSV files. Creation of the CSV files, it's in another workflow, which is also part of the package that I mentioned before. And here's a workflow to curate your data and create the CSV files. This needs some exercise and knowledge of KNIME, but here are our data. Here's a set of our data. So these are our data that we need to transform into the CSV files. The name of the CSV files we get from the Excel tables, and also the titles of the columns are as shown before, also in the Excel tables. Let's see, before we opened one of these endpoint study record, repeated dose, toxicity, oral, administrative data, CSV, and here we can see, here's this ruler engine, and just an example how the data can be transformed from our value to the pick list value. So we need to map all our data and all our information to this pick list value. So all this data manipulation, it needs to be done for all the Excel tables and transform our data into the CSV files. This will take some time. Unfortunately, we don't have time to go through all this data workflow to do the transformation, but this is explained in Annex 3 in the overview of data preparation for the substance with an endpoint study record use case. So you will find more information how to transform all your data in that part. When we created all the CSV files, then we can run the data reader. Data reader, first we need to configure it. So we need to select the input directory, and the input directory, it's a directory where we have also all our CSV files. So we just copy this address with the CSV files, pass it here, okay, and we run the node. We check the tables if they were read correctly. So here we have the table name and the table contents. Okay. There's also another output that read errors. Do we have any errors? No. So this is very important to check before we continue, because if we have some errors here, we need to eliminate the errors first before we continue. The next node is data validation. Let's check the data validation node. We go to configure. In this configuration, it's that we need to add the attachment directory. In this exercise, there's no attachments, so we can leave this attachment directory empty. What we can do now, we execute, and it looks like that it went very fast. We can check the errors. There's no errors. And let's check also the valid data. Looks like that everything as before. After the data validation, we can continue with the I6Z generation node. We check the configuration. In case of attachments, we add the attachment directory. Output directory, it's a directory where we would like to save all our I6Z files. So I already prepared a folder with the files that will be created. I will just copy it and insert here. And there's number of data sets to be generated. If you want to select just one data set or two data sets or just a few data sets just for testing, we put number 1, 2, 3 here. But if we leave -1 value, then all the data sets will be generated. And okay, and let's run this node. When the node run is completed, we can go and check the file names. So we see here the directory and the name of the I6Z file. Okay, so this should be everything in this directory. So here we have also all the files From here, we can continue to the upload node, and this upload node will push our data into the Euclid instance. Here you need to insert your Euclid credentials. For my test environment, I use my test username, but for your instance, you need to use your user credentials. Just click OK and execute the node. When the node is executed, we just check then the I6Z file results, and we can see that all these 10 files, they were successfully uploaded to Euclid. From here's file status. Okay, now we can go and see what do we see in Euclid. Let's go to substances. So we have 1, 2, 10 substances here. Ethanol. Yes, and let's choose one. We can see here that we have some information, OECD, health effects. And then we can validate our data with our source data. In the end, we also can print out these I6Z file results in the CSV writer if needed. In case you are facing any problems or issues with the installation of KNIME, data uploader plugin, or with the Java extension, please go to the Euclid 6 web page under data uploader and go down to contact form, where you click here and you fill this contact form with your data. In the request type, you select data uploader. You can also include the Euclid version that you are using, but this is not necessary. Please select the operating system and then explain as detailed as possible your issue that you are facing. You can attach also some screenshots. In the end, please also add your information, your contact information, that we can come back to you with the solutions. Due to the limited resources, we will not be able to resolve all the issues, like mapping the data and data related issues, but with the installation and with the program, we will try to help you to resolve the problems. Conclusions. Please download the data uploader package from the provided link. Install the data uploader plugin in KNIME and install also all the relevant programs. If you have any issues with the installation, please contact us through the web form. Data uploader package comes with 2 use cases, with example workflows, and instructions. We recommend you to study them before you dig in your data, as you will find many useful information and solutions. Mapping your data is a main task, as you need to understand where to fit your data into the Euclid document definitions. After mapping, you will need to check generated Euclid schema and how the tables, column names in the tables, UUIDs and parent UUIDs are connected and link between each other. You will create a workflow to transfer your data into Euclid CSV files. User cases, workflows, and instructions in the data uploader package can be a great help and guidance. During the process, you need to check for potential errors in each node. When everything is fine, you will be able to push your data into the Euclid instance. Please follow us on our web page for further updates of Data Uploader tool.